YouTube viewers. Today I got a special treat for you. We got something a little bit different here. We're actually going to go and take the casters off this machine and clean them. The casters, understandably, were in the fire too, probably sitting in a lot of water, and actually being as old as they are, the lubrication, the grease and everything now has turned into gummy mess. So without further ado, let's take a look at the casters. Okay, so this is the setup that I'm using to lift this machine, this 500-pound machine, up by myself and get to the casters. So what I have here is a Harbor Freight 42-inch clamp spreader bar. Let me get a picture of this right here. That's what it looks like. And I've changed it from a clamp thing into a spreader. And what I've done is I've placed it one end against the floor there, and the other one I've run a board across the top here. You can see it underneath the two handles, and then the bar is pressing against the board. So what I do is I crank it right here with the handle, and I'm able to actually lift this heavy 500-pound machine up so that you can actually get the wheels off the ground. And then you can see here with a mirror and with a hex wrench, I'm able to actually go in there and disconnect the wheel one caster at a time. Take a caster off, fix it, put it back on again. Do the other one, and then switch this whole setup to the other side of the machine. And at the other side of the machine, do the other two wheels or casters on the other side. So yeah, this clamp spreader bar really has proven itself, because there's only about 3.5 inches from the edge of the machine to the floor. Not a lot of room to fit anything like a jack or something like that. I do have a hydraulic jack out in the garage, but it's really one of them big things, and it's just too wieldy and cumbersome and heavy to get in here to do this. So this is the way I've come up with, and it seems to work fine. Okay, so this is the caster off the machine. The first thing we're going to do is basically clean all the dirt, the loose dirt, and vacuum out the loose dirt out of the thing. Brush it around, get it out of the ball bearings and stuff like that before we disassemble it and clean out all the other stuff inside the unit. There's just a lot of loose dirt all over this thing. Okay, now that all the loose dirt's off, we need to loosen this axle right here. And this one nut on this one side is a special nut. So this is pretty difficult. I'm going to just clamp it to the bench here so I don't have to use so many hands, or I need a third hand. So we'll put the ratchet on the one side and put the wrench that I can get a little more torque with the special lock nut. And then we loosen it up now and turn it a few times before I can move over to moving the ratchet over to the side where I can loosen the nut. It's not sort of like a nylock nut. But it's not a nylock. It's something else. I think they deformed the thread somehow or other on the nut. So basically, it's not going to come loose, this nut, in normal use. In normal use, you're just not going to get this thing loose. And therefore, but now you can see I could ratchet it, because my ratchet's pretty small here, so that I couldn't get enough leverage the other way. But I'm ratcheting it off. And we'll get this nut out of the way right now. pull the axle out and totally disassemble this entire caster. There comes the axle coming out, which is just a bolt. And the two wheels will come out now with all the hubcaps and bearings, etc., etc. And just basically take everything out. Now, the grease in here is sold. It's pretty much like glue. It's basically holding stuff together like glue. It's no longer grease anymore. So all of this stuff's going to have to be totally soaked in some kind of solvent. I've been using paint thinner, and that will clear it out. Now, this is all the parts cleaned through the paint thinner, and something interesting has happened here. One of the bearings, the ball has come out, and that's where it's come from right there, and the ball's split in two. I have never in my life seen something like this. This is not plastic. This is a stainless steel bearing, a stainless steel ball, and it must have had a defect in it, and it just split right in two. So that's a one-off for me. I've never seen nothing like that ever before. Okay, now I got a replacement bearing, ball bearing for this, and I've put it in there already. But anyway, first thing we're going to do is we're going to grease the top part. This is wheel bearing grease that I'm using, and we're going to put it into the top part of the caster. I'm sorry, I'm out of the frame right here, but it'll come back in. You'll see exactly what I'm doing. Just with this hypodermic adapter, I'm actually squeezing grease down in there where the balls are, and down over on this top section. There's balls on the top section, balls on the bottom section right there, and that's how this thing swivels around in there. And so basically I'm just putting this grease down in there where those balls are at, moving it around, make sure it works down a little bit in there and gets them nice and lubricated with the grease. Wipe this off a little bit, and then what we're going to do is we're going to actually grease each individual wheel bearing, which are those cage things right there. So what I'll do is I'm going to get the can of grease, and we'll actually take and dip each one into the can, run my fingers around it, make sure I get lubrication throughout the entire ball bearing race, you know, the caged race right there, and then I'm going to slip it on top of the other bearing race right there. All right, so do that to each one of them, dip them into the grease, lubricate, you know, make sure all the balls are getting the grease on it, and then placing it on the other bearing race itself. Again, this is wheel bearing grease here, specifically made for wheel bearings like this. Now, the other surface of the bearing race is inside the wheels. So I'm just going to get a little bit and just put a little bit on that race, just so that the balls will not be touching exactly to steel when they're in there. So just a little bit, just enough to lubricate the metal there a little bit. All right, and then let me clean my hands off so I can actually handle this a little bit, and we'll start assembling these wheels themselves. So we get the balls, they go into that inner race like that, with the outer race holding it, and then there's one on the other side, the exact opposite, like that, and it then swivels between those two bearing surfaces. You can see I'm rolling it there, and we'll do the same with the other one. And then the other thing is we'll put on, I call them hubcaps, but those large washer things, They remind me of hubcaps. That's all it is right there. So that goes in there. That kind of holds the bearings in place so they don't go anywhere. And then there's another one because remember they're mating together, these wheels. So I'm going to hold those two together, put the last bearing in, the last hubcap in. And then what we're going to do is actually place the two wheels inside that top part, which is really the bottom part, I guess, like that. And then the axle will then go through there and hold this all together. All right, there's the axle going through, come out the other end, just move it, there we go. And then let me just get these little pieces out of the way. And then we'll put in that special nut again. Okay, let me wipe my hands off. We'll put the special nut in, and it then will tighten this nut so it actually tightens against there securely. And like I said, it's pretty tough, this nut, because so now I'll actually tighten the nut up using the ratchet at first, because it's, you know, it's loose enough that I could use the ratchet on it. Again, this is a small ratchet, so that's why I can't get a lot of leverage on there. But once I got it tight enough with the ratchet, and we'll switch the ratchet to the other side and use the larger wrench, because I can get more leverage on the large wrench and do the last little tightening. This special nut, let me see if I can find out what this is called and put it up on the screen for you here. But that thing is not going to come loose. There's just no way that this nut comes loose. There's no need for any locking compound or anything. This nut is in there pretty tight. Okay, and now you see there's the wheels working, running beautifully. Spinning that direction. Well, that was an interesting one. I've never seen a ball bearing split in half like that. I have no idea. There had to be a defect. Pretty rare. I doubt very much that you'll ever run into something like that again. But anyway, that was a weird one. But now the casters are nice and lubricated, greased up, moving smoothly, and the machine is perfectly moving around the room now. So no more issues with that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the video. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Click on the bell for notifications. I'll let you know when the next one comes out. And I'll see you then. Thanks again for watching.